Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Stories Worth Hearing. I'm Denise Hansard. I'm your life architect and the host of this show, where I get to interview women who are on a mission to create. And today, as always, I have someone exceptional, in what she does and in her life. And you're going to love hearing her story. So, with me today is Jennifer Mastor, who is the owner of Mastor Recruiting and Consulting. And here's what I love about Jennifer, because she has a passion for what she does, whether it's in recruiting or in career consultation. She said, I'm committed to putting the right people in the right positions at the right companies. And that results in exceptional company culture with lower turnover, motivated and happy leaders, and successful business results. I mean, that's a person who loves what they're doing. And yet, yeah. And yet, yeah. Welcome, Jennifer. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is great. I love getting out there and sharing stories and hearing stories as well.
I love that. Love that. So you and I have been talking for several months now. We connected on LinkedIn, and as you do and I do, we love to make those connections work for us, which means we just get to have a conversation and talk to each other. And at one time in that conversation, you talked about times in your life when you've had to persevere and move through hardships, really have that grit. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing something about that with our listeners.
Um, sure. I mean, I think I've had grit most of my life just with my upbringing and what I've done and what I have gone through in my life. Um, I was, and we'll just put it out there, and not to have that ohs and the ahs and everything,
Mhm.
but because my life has been like this, it's kind of fun to share that you can get out of the ups and downs if you really need to. I am a survivor. I was mentally and physically abused as a kid from my father and learned how to take control of myself at a very, very early age.
Mm.
When I got into this industry, I literally answered an ad when we had Sunday newspapers and we advertised in Sunday newspapers. That was, yes, I'll date myself that way. Um, and started in a business that I just never thought that I would do. I've gone through 5 recessions. I've gone through a divorce. I'm a single mom. I raised both of my kids from the age of 6 and 9.
Wow.
I've stood in line at the food bank.
Mm.
I have literally learned how to ask for help from people that didn't even know me. And I have pulled myself up 2 to 3 times in my life to continue making sure that my kids were all taken care of, and just learned a lot about myself along the way. And I don't know, voila, here I
Yeah.
am. I own
And
my own business. March will be 6 years.
well, congrats on that and congrats for where you are today, because
Thank
this
you.
is why I wanted to talk with you and have you share your story. It's not that you've gone through difficulties, very
Mhm.
difficult ones. I mean, hard times. And yet to look at you today, no one would ever know that unless you shared it. And what I love is in sharing those stories, how others can see that no matter what in our life, we have the opportunity to make lemonade out of lemons. And that's putting it mildly.
Yeah,
With and
yeah.
so having that essence of life, of the journey you've gone through, and 2 children where you raised as a single mom. And I remember you telling the story about raising your children and how you wanted your experience of life to show them what they could do also.
Very much so. Very much so. Um, the 3 of us we're not a normal threesome of a family. We're extremely close. My son and my daughter are best friends. And even when my son was deployed, when he was in the Air Force, the 2 of them still had Snapchat and they still talk together in the whole 9 yards. They still do to this time, but he actually just got out of the Air Force, so yay on that ends. But I think if you see behind me the elephant has symbolized my life for 50 over years
Mm.
on what I have done and what I have done. And I've raised my family that way. Morals and ethics, not necessarily religious, but morals and ethics
Mhm.
on what they do and family matters. And the cohesiveness that I have with my family and my kids, I didn't know anything different but to bring that forward into the workplace. I'm only one person. So my thought process is always the same way. This is who I am. This is what I can do. And this is what then I can also share with others on how I've done it. And if it works for them, great. And if not, everybody's different.
I love that. I love that. And I remember one aspect of what you said, and the fact of that the cohesion of the family unit, because it was
Mhm.
the three of you guys, and you helped build a very solid foundation for them to be as connected as they are today, to show that
Yeah.
family was important. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, and I can take pride in this, when you look at my whole family with my siblings, and there's three of us, and I'm the youngest, and the three of us are still very, very close,
Mm.
even though we came from a very hostile environment with our father. But I have six nieces and one nephew. Yay, Ben. So those are two boys in the family. They carry the weight there. But all of them are amazing citizens. None of them are in jail. None of them are druggies. None of them are alcoholics. They all have wonderful roles and lifestyles that they appreciate and value themselves. You know, my daughter's been on her own since 20
Wow.
because she knew how to take care of herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
you
fabulous.
don't see that in a normal family um, environment. That there's eight of us, there's eight nieces and nephews, there's three of us, and we all get along great, and we're all a good, strong family unit.
Yeah.
And because of that, the siblings, my brother also owns his own business. My sister is a legal assistant, the first to actually have a degree. My brother has a 4-year degree. So you don't see that unit coming from such a hard thing. But we are all workaholics. We are all
Mm.
doing what we need to do because we all like what we do.
Yeah.
So it's unusual.
It is unusual, and I think that's part of what is we shared our own stories of how our own families, and I think I told you that there's like how many are there of us now? Because I have two sisters and a brother and an extended family of
Right.
16, 18, I can't remember, and we take family vacations together for a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
And we get
We
a
did
lot.
that in July of last year. Yeah, we all met up in Bend, Oregon, and
Yeah.
there we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know how fortunate that is for us. And I know how blessed you feel with that. And I know how blessed I feel with that. And as I look and hear about your story, having been abused by your father, um, and that was a very toxic environment, and being able to stay whole through that, not just you, but your siblings,
Mhm.
and then moving through the workforce, probably having other experiences of toxicity in the workforce.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm extremely fortunate, and I know that I'm fortunate. Um, in the roles that I have had that got me to where I'm at right now, I have only been in one true toxic business relationship, and that was my former employer before I started my own business.
Mhm.
I literally up and left. I had nothing to go on. I didn't have any other resources. I didn't know what I was going to do. My daughter was still at home, um, but I could not work or be around that gentleman anymore. I
Yeah.
didn't care
Oh,
if I was going to be broke. It was just better than coming to work every day and being unhappy. And I share that experience with my clients when they're looking because they're being bullied in the workplace or they're not happy. And I just had a gentleman 2 days ago who said, "Can I quit?" And I said, "I can't tell you that." But
yeah.
I did ask him a couple of questions. Do you have this, 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 and this, and the resources? He goes, "I do." And I said, "Then look at yourself in the mirror and say, 'I'm ready,' and leave."
Mm.
Nobody should be in that type of environment. And I helped him write his resignation letter.
Good for you. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Being in an environment that,
my journey helps others.
Yes, yes. And that's what I love about it. Your story and what you've been through allows your compassion for others to understand exactly where they are, and
Yeah,
to don't tell them, you're not giving them the answer. You're walking them through their own journey of what it can
yeah,
be. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you
And
started your own
as my
business,
grandmother.
yes.
Go ahead.
No, no, no.
We did this when we first met, though, too. We would do this constantly, class. We realized we have a lot in common
We do, and I love that. So I remember you telling me about that story, and then all of a sudden you are out on your own and you're not sure what to do. And I love, and I want you to tell the story of how your daughter helped you through that.
here. So she knew I was unhappy, and I was coming to work and was getting training, and I couldn't handle the gentleman anymore. And I finally had two friends, lost one of them, unfortunately, 3 years ago to cancer. But I sat with these two mentors because I've been with them for so long in my life. And I said, what do I do? I've never resigned. And I resigned. And I came back and I told my daughter this, and she's like, okay. I said, no, honey, you don't seem to understand. I have maybe 2 months in my savings. I don't have a pot to pee in. I have no other company that I'm going to. I don't have a job lined up. I have no idea what we're going to do. And she just looked at me and she's like, okay. Like, why are you not worried about this? And she's like, because we've been in situations like this before, and I've always had clothes on my back, always had food on the table, and always had a roof over my head. You'll pull through regardless, Mom. You don't know how to do any other different, but to pull through. And this is a 15, 16-year-old telling me this, and I'm like, how do you know this? Why do you have so much faith in your mother to pull this out of it? And she just looked at me and she's like, because you don't know any other way. And
Mm.
I'm like, so what do I do? And she just looked at me and she was like kind of cahoots with my sister. And they said, just open up your own business. And I was like, you want me to do what? You want me to be in command of my own what? My own income, my own business. You don't want me to rely on it? Are you nuts? And she's just like, no, you can do it. And, I'm like, okay. And she was right. And she
Yeah.
had faith in me. And my son was always highly, highly supportive, still is. My family is still, highly supportive. And yeah, I couldn't even imagine working for another company anymore. I couldn't even imagine trying to put my own resume together and who would want to hire me, because why? I've been through a lot and I can share a lot, and I trust myself and respect myself enough in the business that I do, that it's fun.
Yeah.
And I get to pick and choose the clients that I want to work with.
Mhm.
And not a lot of people get that satisfaction. I mean, just like you in business for yourself, you get to pick and choose your clients, and we don't have to answer to somebody else that we don't want to answer to anymore.
Mm. Yeah. The only person standing in our way is ourselves.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And we've all stood in our own way. We've all been through that. We've all stood in our own way. We've all done that mirror check going, huh?
What?
What
What?
do you want me to
Yeah,
do?
what? And we may do it again. It just won't take us as long to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The step-by-step process, and through it all, I've learned, I have reached out. I did something I never thought I was going to do, and I hired another person within my business because I knew I needed the help.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, so I've learned to ask for help at my age, and smartest thing I've ever done. It's hard to do. We have a hard time asking for help.
We do. We do. And especially because, again, you and I click so well because we are
Yeah.
independent women. It-
Hmm.
we can have those doubts, we can have those fears. And yet, as my Southern version is going to say, it's like put on your big girl panties and let's go because there's nobody else that's going to do it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
But I
that.
think nowadays we have that resource
Mm-hmm.
that we didn't know that we had growing up.
Yes.
And you and I are both resources for individuals who are needing help in one way or another, via me with career, via you with life in general and career, all at the same time. So I think it's great that there's people like you advocating and putting it out there on the YouTube and sharing information with others. So Because even if this just sticks with one person, say, "Oh, I've been in her shoes before."
Makes a difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I had the hardest time telling people, about my childhood, being abused and everything. My kids know, and everybody in the family knows. So there's no secrets out there. So if anybody ever wants to talk about it, they can,
Yeah.
and they're free to talk about it.
Love
You
that.
couldn't do that when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, secrets never do us any justice. Secrets hold
Mm-mm.
us back. Even if it's a secret that we hold just within ourselves, that really isn't a
Yeah.
secret, but we keep it a secret just because of who we are, you know.
Right.
Um, oh my God, Jennifer, we could go on forever, and I love your stories. And I love to keep them short and sweet so that everybody hangs with us. So, do
Right.
you have one more thing you might want to share with people just to inspire them?
Keep your confidence high.
Mm.
We're all born with confidence. Some of us just don't know how to put it out there or believe in ourselves. And if you need that check in your confidence, just look in the mirror and say, you got this, because no one else is going to change it.
Oh my God, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So if someone wanted to reach out and connect with you, how could they do that? Besides looking at
I
the description below, because all of her info is
Right.
going to be there. Yeah.
Um, I think if you just put in my name, Jennifer Mastor, and spell it the correct way with Mastor instead of ER, thankfully I pop up in any Google search, LinkedIn, and my website. It explains a lot of who I am, the work that I do, and how I do the work. With my blog. So between my website, LinkedIn, and just Google me, you can find me pretty easily. Might have gotten rid of the husband with the last name, but I kept the last name because it was pretty impactful.
I love that. Jennifer, I know, don't tell anybody. Yes. Jennifer, thank you so much. I know that all of my listeners are going to find something extremely useful, if a small part of it, if not all of it. So thank you. You've been such a blessing to be on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been great, Denise.
I love it. So everyone, thank you for coming back and listening and hearing stories worth hearing. Please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, reach out to Jennifer Mastor, Mastor, or myself, Denise, if there's anything that we can do to help you with that. See you next time.